Hey, distance learning kids. So, we're going to try this out a little bit different today. I'm at my house and I'm on my phone because I brought my computer home, but I forgot the charger. So, we're going to give this a try on my phone today. All right. And I also stole Addie's easel, so we're going to be using that one today too. Now, today's lesson is actually a filler lesson. This is not part of our new curriculum. Our new curriculum goes from our decimals directly into multiplying fractions, which we felt as though would be a good reminder to remember how to do our adding, subtracting, fractions, and mixed numbers. So we're going to spend a little bit of time today working on those couple examples. We'll talk about how to add fractions and mixed numbers, and then also how to subtract fractions and mixed numbers. Before we get started, I do want to show you guys the worksheet. I know I did a couple examples on here, but the example is one that's on paper and pencil, so you guys do need to either print this out or you can put your answers in a Google Doc. So there's questions 5 for adding, subtract, or adding fractions, 5 for mixed numbers, and then the same thing on the back with subtraction. All right, here we go. We're going to get started with our adding, subtracting, fractions, and mixed numbers. So our rule for both of these ones is the same. The biggest thing that you need to keep in mind when you're adding and subtracting your fractions and decimals is that you must, all right, that's a big thing right there, must have a common denominator. All right, so we've talked about this, that denominator, that is that bottom number. In this case, we need to make sure that we have that common denominator before we can do any of our adding or any of our subtracting. So we're going to go through a couple examples here. I'm just going to get rid of this here. Oh no, battery. What? Now this is dying too. You guys, I need to find all my chargers. All right, so first off, we're going to take a look at our adding fractions. So if I'm taking a look at this one here, I'm going to look at 3/4 plus 1/5. Before we can do our adding, we need to make sure that we have our common denominator. So we need to think, what is the number that both 4 and 5 would go into? So here we're going to be running through all of our multiples. So 4, 8, 12, 16, and so on. 5, 10, 15, and so on, until we come up with a denominator that works best. Now, a lot of times there's one that's going to be smaller. However, if you ever have a hard time finding that denominator, you can always multiply those two bottom numbers together, and that would be a denominator that would work. So in this case, that's also the smallest denominator, or the least common multiple. So here, our number is going to be 20 on the bottom. So I'm going to rewrite my problem so that I have my 20 for both of my denominators. Now, we can't just change the denominator. We need to think, how did we get from 4 to 20? What I did was multiply 5. Whatever I do to the bottom, I have to do that exact same thing to the top of the fraction. So 3/4 now becomes 15 over 20. Same thing on the other side. How do you get from 5 to 20? Times by 4. I do the same thing to the top. My new fraction is 4 over 20. Now that I have that, I can do my addition. In addition and subtraction, our denominator, once we find that common denominator, it stays the same. Our answer has that denominator as well. And then we can just go across the top and do our addition. Now, another thing we need to keep in mind with our fractions is we always need to make sure that we're simplifying our fractions. So we need to think, is there a number that goes into both 19 and in 20? And in this case, there isn't. So we are completely done with that problem, that 19 over 20. So we find our common denominator. We have to change our numerator as well. We're going to keep bottom the same and then add across the top. Now, next example we're going to take a look at is looking at subtraction with our fractions. So let's take a look at this one. Let's go 4 over 5 minus 1 over 3. So same rules here, same rules apply. We need to think of our common denominator. So a common denominator for 5 and 3 is going to be 15. I'm going to change both of my denominators to 15. Now I need to take care of my numerators. How did I get from 5 to 15? I multiplied by 3. So my top number is now going to be 12. How do we get from 5 to 15? I multiply by 5. So now my top number is going to be 5. Now you guys, make sure that you're keeping track of what operation you're using here so that we don't get that mixed up. So we're going to subtract across the top. We get 7, right? Yep. And then our denominator is going to stay the same. We need to think, can we take any number out of both at the top and the bottom? We cannot. So that's in simplest form, and that is our answer, 7/15. Back to addition. But now for addition, we're going to look at mixed numbers. So here we have 2.5 plus 4 1/5. Now there are two different ways that we can solve this problem. I'm going to show you both ways, and then you can choose which way works best for you. So the first way I'm going to show you is keeping our whole numbers here. So I'm going to write my whole numbers. Now our next thing we need to do is find our common denominator. So we need to find that common denominator between 2 and 5, which in this case is 10. So I'm going to think, how do I get from 2 to 10? I multiply by 5, so my top number is 5. 5 to 10, I multiply by 2, so my top number is 2. Now I can add my whole numbers, which is 6, and then I can add my fractions. Numerator is 7, denominator stays the same. We need to think, can that be simplified? And in this case, it cannot, so there is our answer. Now, occasionally, there's going to be a time where this number may be larger. So really quick, I'm going to change this one, just making a little switcheroo here to show you another way. Now, what if this is 4/5? So now, if we times by 2, we get 8/10. Now, if I add these, I get 6. My denominator is 10. My numerator on this one is going to be 13. You guys, we cannot have a mixed number and an improper fraction. So we need to do some simplifying. We're going to look at this fraction. This fraction, if we simplified it, we could think of, okay, how many times does 10 go into 13? It goes in 1 time, and then that leaves us with 3/10. We're going to add that 1 3/10 to our 6 that we already have, and our answer would be 7 3/10. Okay, so there may be some where you have to do some extra borrowing. Now I'm going to show you this example here in a mixed fraction, or sorry, in an improper fraction way. And my daughter just came downstairs. Eddie, I need you to sit down for a little bit. I'm almost done. You can also change these ones to improper fractions first and then do your addition. So I'm going to show you with the one with that 2 or that 4 4/5, so you can really tell the difference here. So to do this, we do our 2 times 2 plus 1. So we have 5/2 plus our, 24/5. Now, same thing, I need to find my common denominator. I'm going to use 10, just like I did before. Multiply by 5, so that becomes 25/10. Now this way, multiply by 2, so that becomes 48/10. Now I can do my addition. Denominator stays the same, and then when I add, what do I have here? I have 73. Now I need to turn this number back into, a mixed number. Think, how many times does 10 go into 73? 7 big times, and then leaves us with 3/10 left over. So when we're doing our mixed numbers, it's your choice if you want to keep the whole numbers there, or you can change them into improper fractions. In the end, you're going to get your same answer. Yep, hey, Addie. Yep, this is from my class. Can you say hi to him? Oh, there we go. Wave hi. You're going to get that same answer. It just depends how you're going to be having to do your simplifying at the end. All right, one last example here. Okay, and that is going to be our subtracting mixed numbers. Ed, can I have you draw over on that side? All right, so let's take a look at this one. 6 and 2/4 minus 4 and 1/5. All right, I need you to scoot over a little bit. Thank you. Okay, for this one, you guys, we're doing that same thing, so we can do the two different methods depending on what works best for you. In this one, I'm going to show you guys how to use keep the whole number the same. Ed, scoot over a little bit. Yep, they need to be able to see the screen. Can you drive? Oh, yep, they want to see. They don't want to see you. They want to do their math. All right, so here we go. So we're going to keep our whole numbers the same. Our denominator in this case is going to be 20. So we need to think, how do we get from 4 to 20? We times by 5. Adders, can you go around that side? Times by 5 on the top, that becomes 10. Times by 4, that becomes 4. Now, subtraction, we're going to take care of our whole numbers first. And we have 2. And then we can do our subtraction, which would be 6 over 20. Now, if you put this for your answer, it would be incorrect. What you need to do is you need to make sure that you simplify. So we need to think what number goes into both 6 and 20. We can take 2 out of both of those, and we get an answer of 2 and 3 over 10. You guys, for this one, you can do that method that I showed with addition as well. If you'd like, you can turn to an improper fraction first and then subtract. For the problems that you guys have on your assignment today, there are not going to be any that you have to need borrowing. So it is going to be a larger number subtracting a smaller number, which will help quite a bit. Now, this assignment, like I said, this isn't even part of our curriculum. This is something that we're just adding on because it's a really good review for you. So we're working on the adding, subtracting fractions and mixed numbers. And this will help us get back into our curriculum, which we'll get back to on Monday when we look at our multiplying. All right, see you later.